With America's Mayor Live. In a short while, I have Lou Diamond, a very special guest tonight, and a great lawyer who I think when we go over this lawsuit, you're going to see how good a lawyer he is and how crafty he is, because you're going to want to know, why are we in New Hampshire for this case? We could have brought this case anywhere. You'll find out if you just stay tuned. I guess we should talk just a little bit about the news of the day, which involves what happened in the House of Representatives last night. I hate when they do this historic stuff. Everything historic so far that's happened is bad. The historic pandemic, the historic drop in jobs, the historic increase in the price of oil up to $9 a barrel, the historic stupidity of our president, the historic criminality of our president. It's terrible. Well, this was the historic first removal of a sitting speaker, and the vote was like wackadoodle. If I'm correct, Ted, help me with this now. It was 210 votes for, right?
216 to 210.
215 or 216?
216.
No, 216 to 210. But 8 of the 216 were Republicans. So it was 210 Republicans against 208 Democrats. And the 8 Republicans came over to the Democrat side and gave them the victory over the Republican. So I guess the other way to count it is in his caucus, in his Republican caucus that he represents, forgets the Democrats. He doesn't represent the Democrats. He was an overwhelming unanimous choice of 210 to 8. So Speaker McCarthy, if we're talking about a vote of his caucus, had 210 Republicans voting for him, 8 Republicans voting against him, and he's out. Something seems really crazy about that. It also seems designed to create turmoil in your party. Among those 210 people who voted for him, there are probably some who felt very strongly about it and now feel that 8 people can somehow manipulate the democratic will, I mean with a small d, the democratic will of the vast majority of Republicans. This isn't right. And I see that President Trump has reacted against it, and I'm very happy that he has, because it's consistent with his sense of fairness and leadership. Now, does that mean I agree with everything McCarthy did? Of course not. Do I agree with everything the other guys did? No. What I do realize is we've got issues much bigger than they were playing with and spending time on. If that energy had been given to how do we stop these people coming over the border, and we had a big fight over that, even a big division over that, at least we were fighting over something real. And maybe because we had that fight, we'd get to a solution, because that's how you get to solutions. You know, they fought over the Civil Rights Bill for 5 years, and they finally got it when they got Republicans to vote in place of Joe Biden's friends, the Ku Klux Klan Democrats. And but this is a useless, almost like immature fight. It's over. We've got a bunch of people that are up for consideration. Really doesn't make sense right now, because I do want to get to this case to talk about each and every one of them, but because that's not going to be decided until next week. The Speaker pro tem has given them a weekend off. Now, generally, I wouldn't agree with that, but it seems to me that the next 4 or 5 days is just going to be all kinds of battling over who's going to be speaker and who's going to do this and who's going to, they're not going to get anything done. So they might as well go cool down, use their telephone, make their deals, and God willing, come back with a speaker where they agree that they're not going to get rid of him the first time they disagree with him. I mean, whatever you think of McCarthy, who the hell could do that job if you wanted it that way? And it seems to me he did a couple of really good things. I think the idea that he held the money back from Ukraine was excellent because he's the first one now that has taken action so that we ask questions about Ukraine. We have had people that have been out front asking questions, but we've had no one that's taken action. People say that the investigations are going too slowly, but at least they're going, and Comer every day seems to have another big shot at Biden. And you can't do that without the support of the speaker. You can't say, oh, you know, he's not. I'm pretty satisfied with the way Comer is handling this. And so there are some good things, and then there are some realities. He doesn't have a majority he doesn't have has a majority of the House, very tiny as we can tell, but he doesn't have a majority of the government, so he can only do so much. Let's hope they give the next one a little bit more running room. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to have Lou Diamond with us, and we're going to talk about the case that we filed today against Joe Biden and all his multi-million-dollar entities in order to recover for the unbelievable defamation that he did to me. He does it to many people, and he gets away with it. I think maybe I'm the first one to stand up to him. We'll be right back. Towers Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now.
We're back.
Well, we are both here. This is my attorney, a very, very fine attorney with a great, great career. This may be one of his more fun cases, but he's had a lot of them. Lou Diamond. Lou, along with Bill O'Brien, who is our local counsel in this beautiful state that you see behind us of New Hampshire, drafted this complaint. It was not just done like that. It took a lot of thought. You're going to probably wonder, why are we in New Hampshire, right? What are we doing? Why aren't we in New York or someplace else? It was a very, very smart and very intelligent tactical decision to be here because of the laws that they have in New Hampshire. And we'll tell you about the whole case, but it starts with then not president at the time,
ordinary citizen.
and that's a very important part of this. Here, let me set this up right for you. You got it just right there. Right. That's perfect. An ordinary citizen, Joe Biden, is debating the president of the United States, Donald Trump, October 22nd, 2020. And in the course of it, he says, buddy, Rudy Giuliani is being used as a Russian pawn. He is being fed information that is Russian, that is not true. Then he makes another statement, and Ted will get him ready to play for you. So tell us about that. How does that become
All right.
the key to the lawsuit?
When you had been on my TV show a year ago, and we had talked a little bit, and something bothered me about it. We're so used to, especially you being in your jurisdiction, that the statute of limitations in New York State is 1 year.
Right.
This happened almost 3 years ago in 3 weeks. I went and I said, no, I've been all over the country doing my case, and every state has a loophole some places. And we found New Hampshire. And New Hampshire had a 3-year statute of limitation. That was part one.
Okay.
Part two was neither party had to reside here at the time of the occurrence as long as it was published here, which it was on TV that night. And then we had the defamation.
Is that unusual? Is that very unusual?
Well, they had a case here in New Hampshire with Penthouse Magazine. All right? I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
And whatever happened, they made the decision. We found it.
Right.
All right? And thank God that we did.
Yeah.
Because it also says in the decision that we can get damages for every state that it was published in, even the ones that had the 1 year statute of limitations.
So assume we prove our case.
Right.
We get to a judgment. We can then go, and then you get the damages.
The damages.
We could prove the damages not just in Rhode Island, but in Nebraska and in Florida and in California.
Yeah, Sturgis.
Wherever people
Have a TV.
Wherever people have a TV and heard this.
And you know, everybody in
read
the
it,
world was watching that.
or read it the next day in a newspaper.
Yeah. And then
And-
we came upon a second part that helps us, is that he held you in a bad light, which is less of a duty to prove than defamation, even though we have it. But we can now show that you lost tons and tons of money through your different various corporations and giving lectures and everything, because he held you out in a bad light
Right.
by these statements. You're a Russian pawn. It means you're a Russian cooperator. So we have him on 2 different theories now of damages. And we have no problem with the statute of limitations. We squeezed them by 3 weeks and 2 hours. All right, and thank God that we found Bill, because I went through 22 different lawyers in New Hampshire who were afraid to take the case.
Afraid of the repercussions,
Right.
like they are with President Trump.
Right.
Wow.
All right, and
That's a real tragedy
thank God
for our
that
profession.
the best of them came to the top, the cream rose.
Wasn't he a good?
He's just a great lawyer, a great guy, and we were constantly in touch with each other.
Yeah, I could see it, yeah.
He sent me all the laws and everything, and we kicked them around, and we sent stuff to you. You made your little notes. You sent them back to us. We changed the complaint a dozen times, but we got it in time. And I thought we had a great presentation today.
Yeah, I think the reporters were almost shocked that somebody's actually finally going after the big guy.
Well,
but tell him your comment was if we have a little book,
Yeah.
we put this at the beginning of the book, at the beginning of the book.
Rudy and I have been friends since 81, 82.
Great
and
comment.
I did a lot of the organized crime stuff when Rico came down, and he obliterated crime in New York City. God bless him. I'm gonna lose my bank account. But, but I said I'd rather be standing here today representing the right guy than the big guy. And I mean, every day, and you have to understand, when you see the video of the debate, he was more cognizant than he is today.
I think when we showed them the debate, one of the other things that we're not involved in, but you're going to see how demented he's become.
Without a doubt.
Now, another thing here, Lou, before we show them that is, people might remember the Bill Clinton, Paula Jones case.
Yes.
So that was very similar, not the activity,
No, but the damages. And,
but the whole legal aspect
and,
of it.
and the thing we're waiting for is that we are entitled to depose him
Sure.
under oath now about where he got his money and everything, because we have to show that where we can get our money from the damages.
Oh, yeah, we can talk about everything.
So I don't think they will ever tread on that water with us.
And if they do,
We're
how's he going to answer it?
We're golden.
How can he answer it? What is, he's going to lie? Maybe. I mean, he lies so much.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's a perpetual liar. We put a few in here as examples just to show people. But my goodness, if you had put all his lies in, we would have written a 500-page book, right? I mean, it would have been
The hardest thing was to minimize it,
Oh yeah,
because you don't want to go in front of a judge and have like the Bible,
yeah. This is nice
you know,
and about five, 6 pages. It's not
the hardest thing was to minimize it, but keep it succinct.
Yeah.
And we did that. And I'm proud of it.
Now, every time I see those indictments of Trump with 80 pages and stuff, I know they're phony because I wrote indictments and they weren't 70.
Believe me, I've seen them.
They don't have to be 70 or 80 pages.
No,
They
no.
can be like 20, 10, 20, boom, right to the point.
Well, you only need
This is
20,000 cuts.
This is right to the point. It has 2 defamatory statements, meaning untrue statements.
Made in the same course of flow of the conversation
Right.
of the debate.
Within probably about 8
which
minutes.
The debate had nothing to do about you.
That's
you
true.
look at it.
He introduced me into the debate.
He introduced the whole concept for his benefit.
Right. And now we also know that before that, he and his compatriots were organizing a whole scheme to get the 51 intelligence agents to write a letter that this was Russian, had the earmarks. What they wrote was a little more careful than what he did, but still damaging. They wrote that it had the earmarks of Russian collusion, Russian interference. And the important thing about that is none of them did any research. So they didn't have the foggiest idea whether it had the earmarks of Russian, German,
They just
Italian,
used one big
French,
broad brush.
and his
wiped it.
his Secretary of State organized that. At the time, I think his campaign manager. This also is not just like he just thought of it at the time and he just said it.
No, there was malice of forethought.
This was very well planned, which you'll see with the second quote when he talks about the 51 intelligence agents. So Ted, do we have it ready to show?
And I believe he even says, I really shouldn't say this, and then he goes and says it.
Well, he's
which is the early marks of dementia, but not the full blown.
but he gets away with so much
He's used to it.
that you've probably found that in your practice with clients and people you
Yeah,
deal with.
sure.
Some of them get so sloppy, they just think they can lie anytime they want.
That's right.
I mean, and in his case, look at all he's gotten away with
Well, nobody ever had the nerve
to go up
to
against
go
him.
up against him.
They're going after his son instead.
But that's sloppy.
Yeah.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
All right, he owes $10 million already. So
Yeah.
what? He made that with one diamond that he got from the Chinese or whatever.
So if you looked at, I call it the Biden family case. If you looked at it like the real
all
cases, yeah, where would you see Hunter in the arrangement? He's obviously not the top. The big guy's the top. He's the don.
I see him parking the car.
like Fredo.
I didn't want to come out
But
and say it.
Fredo can never collect any money though. He's a little better than Fredo. You think when they shot his father, he would shake the gun?
At least Fredo wasn't a dope addict. Give him credit for what he has.
Play the clip.
Okay, let's play the clip. So, as we said, this is October 22nd, October
23rd.
What did I say this one? October 15th,
15th.
2020. It had 73 million national television
We got
viewers.
2 weeks barely 2 weeks
Yeah.
under the statute. We did.
So We're just there, babes. And here are the two quotes. And remember, 63 million heard it live, but this would also involve all the people who heard it later
Yes. How many times has this been
or
replayed?
read it in the newspaper.
And it was always referred to
And
when the people wanted to attack you.
and then of course the New York Times, the Washington Post,
Right.
all of his little puppets,
Yeah.
just repeated it. So go ahead. This is the first one, I think, or should be.
It's not made money in terms of this thing about what are you talking about? China. I have not had the only guy made money from China is this guy. He's the only one. Look,
Very quick.
there are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what this he's accusing me of is a Russian plan. Money from China is this guy. It's not made money in terms of this thing about what are you talking about? China. I have not had the only guy made money from China is this guy. He's the only one. Look,
Very quick.
there are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what this he's accusing me of is a Russian plan.
As you can see, this was all tied into the 51 that they organized in order to pull off this defamatory statement. He should have kept it to Trump, which is what he was supposed to do.
You were never supposed to be on the agenda
Right.
in a properly run debate.
Right. Even a properly run defamatory debate.
And they certainly don't do it twice.
Yeah, let me see if I can lie twice. But this again comes from enabling. The fact that he gets away with this.
But he's used to it.
Do you know when he first opened his campaign, he sent a letter around to the press telling them they shouldn't put me on television? Just me. Shouldn't put me on television.
What was his big thing with you?
I was very effective. I was
I
effective.
can see how that could bother him. You
Now,
know.
look,
He wasn't used to that.
The reality is nobody's ever stood up to him.
Yeah.
We may be the first ones to have gone right at him.
I think we're the first people
Even the
who ever
Congress
did
hasn't gone
anything
right
like
at him yet.
this ever.
No prosecutors, no Congress.
No.
We're the first ones to go right at him.
Yeah.
It's appropriate. I'm the first one to have brought out the evidence of his criminality.
That's right.
I was the one who found the hard drive.
Right. And you were the one that always abided by the letter of the law.
And they have done the things they've accused me of. It's unbelievable.
I mean, we had cases against each other, and our friendship arose out of the fact that we both knew that we believed in the law. We wouldn't bend it. We wouldn't circumvent it. I had some of the worst people in the world. You were protecting the best people in the world. But we looked at each other in the eye at the end
we
of the day.
protected their rights.
And at the end of the day, we did our job right. And we would be proud of that every day of our life.
I met a guy out in Los Angeles, Lou. He was in one of the Nicky Barnes cases.
Oh, God.
And he had done about 15 years, but he had eventually become a minister, and you never know for sure. But it seemed like he had straightened out his life. One never knows, right?
Very quickly, make you laugh. I never told you this. Paul Castellano, before he moved into the big White House,
Right, the White House.
lived on Buttonwood Road, remember? Across the street from Nicky Barnes.
Yeah.
And every night he would get aggravated thinking of Nicky sitting on a gold toilet seat across the street from him.
It got him really upset.
I never told you that all these years.
You know what amazes me when people go to Sparks.
Oh,
So now it's 80, 90, 100, it's 30.
32 years, I think.
Yeah, 30 years ago. So people even stop now and look at where.
Yeah,
We could. Every once in a while, I do it for fun. I park across the street, and within 5 minutes, somebody comes by and goes like this. That's where Castellano and,
Yep.
and Bellotti
and
was
people
shot.
lie down.
Yeah.
And I got to say, Tommy Bellotti was my big brother. I grew up in the street with him. My father was his liquor salesman. And I tended bar, worked as a bouncer for him. He got me started in boxing.
Wow.
His brother was one. The movie Every Which Way But Loose, where they used to come all over to fight.
Right.
They would come from all over the tri-state area to fight Joey Bellotti on Saturday night. That's how tough he was.
Joey was the older brother?
His older brother. Right? It's, but you and I both understand what it's like to be a tiny kid
I
in the
know,
street.
I know the whole thing. It probably
I-
helped me a lot in
I-
being able to figure it out
you
and
can see the whole
and
picture.
take it apart.
Right. And you see the whole picture. I speak the language. But we always looked at each other and we played
But that's
it
the
right
way
down the
lawyers
middle.
did. The same thing was true with terrorist cases. The same thing.
Right,
The same
right.
thing was true in the financial cases.
Right.
The same thing was true with terrible cases like rape cases.
Yep, yep.
You
We
know,
were
you
just
have to
talking about
represent a
it, yeah.
rapist. It's not the. That's not the lawyer. Everybody has to have a lawyer. You know, because you never know until you test it when you got an innocent person. You never know until
There's
you
a
test it.
documentary coming out about me.
It's not
next
a lot.
month.
It's not a lot of them are
I know,
innocent.
but I beat a
they're
case
awesome.
for a guy. He went out and killed another 75 people. All right, I did my job.
Right.
Simple as that. I just did my job, no
Right.
more, no less.
Right.
And I guess I did it well enough because when we went to trial, I beat the death penalty for him.
Right.
So
But that is what you take an oath to do.
I took the oath.
and if
I'm
you
bound
don't,
by it.
if you don't follow that oath,
Right, you're nothing.
we don't have a civilized society.
We have no society.
But now what worries me is like what you said before, that you had a hard time finding a lawyer. This has been going on for about 4 or 5 years now.
No, I know.
When I wanted help on the impeachment proceeding for President Trump, now one that we know was totally phony.
Right.
Totally phony. They were framing an innocent man,
Yes.
which is the worst thing you can think of in the law, framing an innocent man.
Especially if you're the guy doing it to him.
Yeah.
Don't you have any shred of decency?
So we had a young kid working with us who was a professor. He got fired as a professor. No, he was just doing research because it was Trump, as if he's Dracula or something. That shouldn't happen even if he was Dracula. It's the craziest thing.
I do not
Ted,
see
how we
this-
doing? Any success
On what? We're
on
putting
getting us the clips?
Yeah, we're getting more. I just need some time. It's taking a while to download. Yeah.
I
Okay.
do not see this border crisis today
Right.
if Trump had been elected for the second term.
The
The Mexican border and the northern border. I just finished a case in Albany, a federal case with guys who were trans people. The northern border is worse because it's all trees. So you don't see them lining up by the river.
easier to get people across.
Yeah. So all you see is, hot.
And we're not as used to it because
No.
we haven't had as much.
No, all you see is the heat spots. You don't know if it's 2 or 40.
Mm-hmm.
And quite frankly, the prosecutors up there aren't used to prosecuting it. I mean, I'm not giving them a cheap shot. I had to sit down and go over the stuff with them, because the guy was a really nice guy, the prosecutor, but it was the first one that they had ever done. So I'm not going to take advantage of him. I sat down and I
No,
worked it out.
probably in a year or so he'll be an expert, having done a lot of it.
If they allow him to be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because they, I mean, theoretically, they must let most of them come over. They do it in the South. They let all of them come over.
Oh, that'd be-
And the reality is, we now are getting a complete different group of illegal immigrant. These are the people that are brought in by the cartels. So they're going to be selecting a certain percentage of people that help them.
Yeah.
People that deal drugs, people that trade in women,
And
trade in
terrorists.
children,
Terrorists.
We're catching more terrorists, which means if we're catching them, more are getting in
Yeah.
without our catching
Right,
them.
because we can't identify them that easily.
And this guy's completely asleep. And his head of Majorca says we have a
There's a guy
secure.
who should be impeached.
We got a secure border. I mean, he'd be sitting here like this. He says it's a secure border.
With a straight
and right
face.
behind there on the screen, people would be coming
Yeah.
over the border.
Hey, but he does it with a straight face.
Yeah, how do they do that?
I don't know, because I don't have that ability. I crack up all the time. I laugh at myself.
So we got to get Ted into the conversation here.
Sorry,
Wait,
guys. I'm trying to cut. I'm finding clips and it's taking a while. So.
You can't find those two. The two.
No, I can. It's taking. Downloading is very slow right now. Sorry.
All right, that's okay. You do a great job.
Ooh, because we had them the other night. We
I
had.
know,
We
that's
had.
right. I can't find.
I can't believe it.
I have them. I just need a second.
But I mean, the input that, if you look at your notes here,
Right.
how many different things you changed, one word,
Yeah.
you know, and you send it to me and I send it to Bill, and
Right.
then we have a three-way conversation.
Yeah, I mean, for
Yeah.
lawyers, words are important.
It's and where they are,
Right.
you know, to the eye. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Especially when a judge is reading it.
Now, I was really surprised that they have this single publication rule.
Yep.
And this idea that
When I
if you
told
do
you
it
about
in,
that,
in
yeah.
one state, it has impact in
Right.
all the other states.
Remember, I called you up that night. I said, "You better sit down."
Yeah, I did. I sat down. I did. Yeah, first thing I did was look it up.
I spent 2 days reviewing it.
You were surprised, right?
When I saw it the first time, I said,
Right.
"This can't be."
Yeah.
But then when I read the case, and then I read all the law, and I put them together,
It's very solid,
the
yeah.
judge made the right decision, and he wrote it very succinctly.
Yeah, it's
That
very.
nobody's going to tolerate this.
Yeah.
And nobody should have to tolerate it.
Yeah. And there's no question that what he said is false.
Yeah, and
There's no question it was determined to be false about 9 months before, again about 2 months
Right.
before, and there's no question from the next thing that he did with the 51 or 50
Yeah,
that there was a whole plan.
Yeah.
There was a whole plan to use
That's why he was smiling when he said it.
to use this defamation to detract and to defeat Trump,
Well,
like the way in which they covered up the hard drive.
Right.
Right.
Right. Well, you and I talked about the hard drive before the election.
Right.
And I brought up on my show
Right.
that some of the contents of hard drive have absolute proof.
Yeah, they do.
All right, and they do, but nobody had a chance to see them because when you got raided, you were running after them like, you know, hold my skirt down, hold my skirt down. And they wouldn't touch it because
The
they knew
FBI
they
would-
had to then inventory it.
The FBI
and
knew.
release it.
The FBI knew better than I
Yeah.
did what was in it. They didn't want it.
Yeah.
They want no part
They
of
didn't
him.
want to touch that.
And nobody wants any part of him except seems to be like you, me, and Bill.
Yeah.
We're the only ones to have done what should be done when an American does what he does.
Well, it just goes to show you that America has always been great and didn't have to happen before this.
Oh no,
in
this
my
should have happened.
opinion.
This should have happened. Not this particular
No.
case, but the stuff we were talking about. That
Right.
should have happened 5 years ago.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It was known
before we
4
had
years
this influence.
Yeah, and
There was no
and
need for it in America.
the Justice Department, which is a surprise to me and I'm sure to you, has become something totally different than we have ever known it. It's become I'm going to say not the Justice Department like the guys you dealt with in Albany.
Yeah.
I mean the top of it.
Yeah, the
It's
people who make the decisions.
It's become like Al Capone's Chicago. Right? I mean, it's like the
I didn't
mafia.
represent him.
I know, but the mafia never had courts this good. I mean, at least they get a judge here and a judge there.
They couldn't afford.
They own the whole
They
thing.
couldn't afford to pay somebody to do this for them.
Yeah,
Really,
yeah.
when you think about it.
He's got all Justice Department working for him.
Yep.
And the son got himself prosecuted by being greedy with that first plea deal. Did you ever hear of a plea deal like that?
First of all,
I remember
he
talking
got
to you
the
about
plea
you and
deal.
I.
I told you that night he got the plea deal because
said that was
his
totally
lawyers
crooked.
told his father that they were going to subpoena him.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, the next day he had the plea deal.
Yeah.
And thank God that judge had the integrity to say, "I will not enforce this plea. It's against
Think
the
about
laws
that.
of nature."
She's a judge in Delaware.
Right.
She's gonna have a hard time that way.
Yeah. Well, she's never going to go anywhere as long as he's around.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But he owns Delaware. He owns the other senator, the other two senators. They keep saying, that the U.S. attorney was appointed by Trump. Trump didn't know the U.S. attorney. The U.S. attorney was appointed by Biden's two best friends, the
Right.
two senators.
Right.
He also was appointed by Obama. He's one of these career guys that was appointed by the Democrats and the Republicans. They act like he has some kind of special loyalty to Trump. He does not.
No.
And in fact, it turns out a couple of his decisions are very questionable. He put together the plea deal,
Right.
which
Right.
basically,
It went upstairs from him, and
basically
she turned it down.
for a minor misdemeanor plea. If you look at the hard drive carefully, we get away with taking and sharing about $50 million in bribes. That's a pretty good deal. I bet you never got a deal like that.
I wouldn't be sitting here tonight if I did.
So we're going to take another pause for a commercial, and then I'll be back with, and I know you're enjoying the conversation with Lou, who has his own show. Tell them how they can get your show, Lou.
It's on community television on Staten Island.
All right. And it's
on,
great. It's great.
Yeah, it's on replays every day. It's on live once a month. Rudy's been on the show.
We'll
His
be on
son's been
again.
on the show. I've had judges on the show, police officers, commanders from the court system. And I end the show every night by saying, when you see somebody in uniform, go up and say the two magic words, thank you.
Wow.
All right? And you see the faces, the smile in their eyes with cops, firemen, first responders, medics.
I remember.
And
you saying.
I told you, I left your house that
Yeah.
holiday weekend in the middle of a car accident on the Belt Parkway. I thanked the cop. And his eyes were like, here it is, it's 98 degrees. He's got surrounded by all this going on. And they're honking a horn at Sonny because I said, stop the car. I have to thank this guy.
Yeah. God bless you. We'll be right back.
The year is 2022. Cancel culture is the new normal. Online freedom, as we know it, has ended. Digital stockades are here. All activity is monitored, stored, and predictively analyzed by a technological cartel. We're being converted into a digital resource, a digital currency to be farmed for metadata and loaded into a computerized combine, blockchained to a social engineering operating system. However, it doesn't have to be this way. Be part of a new technological revolution. Right now, 1,000 test pilots have launched themselves into a new digital frontier, a private network outside of big tech control. New technology with state-of-the-art digital engagement and never-done-before security and privacy features that are now operational. With Quick's digital engagement, entertainment, communication, and commercial exchange will never be the same. We are QUX. Quicks. Advanced pre-release sales are limited to 3,000. Order now by visiting quicks.tv. Get yours now before they sell out. Be part of a brand new online experience that you control.
Welcome back. This is America's Mayor Live, and as you know, we have Lou Diamond with us, and I have Balance of Nature time. Right here, veggies, fruits, everything that you are trying to do with all of these supplements you get, really, almost all of it is in fruits and vegetables. So if you would eat your fruits and vegetables every day, and a fairly large amount, you would get what you need. So Balance of Nature has come up with these two really very helpful pills that condense vast amount of fruit, vast amount of vegetables, 38 or so, into these capsules. And you take them once or twice a day, depending on how you do it. I take 2 right now with all of you so that we do it together, and I encourage you to stay healthy. So now I have my vegetables. Now I've had my fruit, and here's how you can do it. You go to balanceofnature.com, promo code Rudy. Balanceofnature.com, promo code Rudy. You get a 35, if you do that, You get a 35% discount, 90 pills in each. When you get them down to about half, they make great marachas.
You can shake on the rosters.
Okay? So now we've given Ted the time to listen to unfortunately, our president, who is doing what he does best, lying.
With a smile on his face.
We are in a situation where we have foreign countries trying to interfere in the outcome of our election. His own national security advisor told him that what is happening with his buddy, I will. His buddy, Rudy Giuliani, he's being used as a Russian pawn. He's being fed information that is Russian, that is not true. And then what happens? Nothing happens. We are in a situation where we have foreign countries trying to interfere in the outcome of our election. His own national security advisor told him that what is happening with his buddy, I will. His buddy, Rudy Giuliani, he's being used as a Russian pawn. He's being fed information that is Russian, that is not true. And then what happens? Nothing happens.
Well, I mean, that's the key. That's the key one.
Right.
That's the key false statement. He lies as he has been doing since he was a child.
And please let people notice the man they saw tonight on TV. This was when he had some balance.
Yeah. He's not going to have a defense that he was demented then. He knew what he was doing.
He knew he was doing.
And now this next one, the next one will show you that it was a pre-planned, executed. Let's call it a hit, an executed hit. I mean, they planned this. They went and got the 51 phonies who filled in the blanks on the letters they never checked out. So then he could make a statement, 50. You don't even get that right. It was 51. It says 50. I mean, and these are all people. These are the people who brought us Benghazi. These are the people who thought they saw weapons of mass destruction.
Right.
These are the people who organized eventually then Afghanistan, the Afghanistan
debacle.
Yeah, I mean, this may be the reason we have such terrible intelligence, but because they're a bunch of liars. I mean, I can't imagine these are people that have like some of them from the academies, and people supposedly have honor, and they get a call because they want to be a secretary of something or a director of something, or a lot of them want to make money in the private defense industry, and they want security clearances, and Biden controls all that.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine a guy like Clapper and Brennan having security clearances. They've done so much damage to the United States. They should be sitting inside prisons. Well, they were two of them that lied here. And they knew for sure that this was not true. They knew this. They knew for sure that this was part of, this was a Biden computer that had been made into a hard drive in order to preserve it by John Mac Isaacs. And John Mac Isaacs gave it to me and Bob Costello, and we gave it to the New York Post. It's as simple as that. There was no Ivan involved in this, or Igor, or some Russian was not involved.
The best is
Russian
Hunter
involved.
kept on saying that wasn't his computer, but he sued the guy from the pawn shop last week.
He sued me too, and Bob Costello.
Right.
But you know what he sued me for? He sued me for hacking his alleged computer.
Right.
Well, I mean, it either is or it isn't your. I don't know. I don't even think he has standing, Lou. I don't think you can sue for hacking an alleged computer. It has to be your computer.
You had to show proof of ownership.
And I don't know if I can prove this, but I'm more than happy to take a test to show I have no idea how to hack. I don't know what to do. I have no idea how you hack.
I'm too old to even use the keyboards.
I don't even quite understand how it works.
I don't.
But I know what happens, and I know it's very dangerous, and I know it's a crime, but I don't know that I know how to do it.
What amazes me is the smile that's on that man's face when he says, "Well, I really shouldn't do this." Ha ha.
Yeah, but I'm going to jam him
I'm
anyway.
gonna jam it in there.
Maybe we should ask for extra damages for that.
I believe a ha ha is
Like
worth
a-
a few monies.
Yeah.
You know, I'll go with the ha-ha.
Can we get punitive damages?
What if he said it now?
Does he say it again after the
Yeah,
before
yeah,
he
yeah,
said
yeah,
or before?
After.
After.
Okay, thank you.
It's when he talks about the 50 intelligent.
The second statement, he said, you really shouldn't talk about this.
No, that's what we just played.
Right, that's the one.
No. It comes after this.
Yeah. Well, no, he does it,
What you're looking for comes after
Okay,
this.
thank you.
yeah,
There's a subject in between,
right, about 3
and
minutes.
then he comes.
Okay,
he-
thank you. Okay. I
And
don't
then
interrupt you.
and then Trump comes back to it, and then he comes back to it.
Yeah,
Trump accuses him of taking money from China
right.
or Russia. I don't remember.
No, he says, here's the guy that made money from China.
And then he
went to
says
Trump.
he says to Trump for no reason that you're the one who made money
Right.
there. I mean, he just says anything he wants.
And the best is when his father says, I never been with my son when we discuss business or there's yours, you know.
Oh, we got a tape, Lou.
He was enforcing, he was shaking the guy down with his father.
We have Joe on a message, audio message to his son, indicating that he had read all about the Chinese
Right,
businesses,
right.
which is his own proof.
And his
that he knew
brother,
about.
James.
His brother James Bobulinski, Mr. Bobulinski, has
Yeah.
testified under oath
Right.
that they discuss business all the time. There's a letter.
And he's
that
always
pa-
on Air Force too.
There's a letter in 2016 from James Gilliers, who's in
Right,
the business,
right.
that says, I sent the contract to Joe,
Yeah.
the contract for the illegal deal
Yeah.
to Joe.
And make sure he
Yeah,
does it.
we're going to get his views on it.
Yeah.
Because he really knows about this.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what you need. I mean, if you looked at all the proof here, you would say, I've never seen as much proof, because they've taken so long now to do it. That just keeps coming out and out and out. Never seen as much proof in a single case. This would be a case in which, when you looked at it, you'd have to edit it. You'd have to say, I
Honestly,
can't prove all this. It would take too long.
I've handled the worst of the worst, and I enjoy making money, and I work for it. But there is no amount of money that could make me represent this kid.
Mm-hmm.
Because first of all, I can't have a client lie to me.
Yeah, he's
That's
like
rule
hell.
number one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that first rule is don't lie to me. I'm your lawyer.
Yeah, and so these guys, I don't think they can play it any
No.
other way.
That's what they were raised on.
I mean, Joe was a liar.
When he was in Congress, wherever he was.
I think, and we'll get that tape maybe. We should have that one time when we're up here, Ted, in honor of New Hampshire. I think the first time he was caught lying was in the 1988 primary in New Hampshire,
Really?
when he pretended that he was Neil Kinnock. So he got up and he made a speech that said, I've been very poor. I've
Yeah,
had to
right,
work
yeah.
for everything. My family has been in the mines for 100 years.
Yeah. And he was
I'm the
black,
first one to graduate from college, and I had a full scholarship to
He
college.
graduated first.
And I was first in my class. And some of my relatives died as miners in the mines. But I've always had hope. So there was a guy covering that had just covered the prime minister's campaign in England. And it turned out,
He plagiarized the whole thing.
I think I heard this before.
Yeah.
But I think I heard it with an English accent. So he went and he dug out Neil Kinnock's speech. It was word for word.
Word for
his
word.
speech. Then it turns out nobody in his family worked in a mine. Nobody in his family died in a mine.
Nah.
They weren't poor. They were middle class.
Right.
He was never first in his class. In fact, he was third from last.
Third from last.
And he got left back in the third grade.
And the thing about him being from Scranton,
Yeah, he was there for 2 days.
hello, goodbye.
So what did you think of the what do you think of the primaries right now? You think the question I want to ask you, do you think Biden now we're just talking about how he looks. Do you think he makes it it's still a year from now.
I can't see how. He's declining at such a fast rate. They have the trip squad now for him. They have 4 people that surround him because he's fallen on his face 11 times in 3 months in public. So now they have a squad that walks with him. So when he goes to shake hands with Claude Rains, they turn him around. No, it's this way, you know?
I don't believe it. I don't.
He has the nuclear football. Just think about that. When you
No,
go to
no,
bed tonight.
it scares the hell out of me that a guy who goes to Cambodia and thinks he's in Colombia, right? Doesn't know which way to turn when he falls on his face in front of the
every time.
cadets.
Yeah,
Falls going up the stairs,
falls going down the stairs.
but he's got that little button and the football, and the whole world could. And then at one point he threatened Putin with taking him out of power. I mean, you threaten a guy with that, like Putin, who knows what he'll do?
I represented Putin's bodyguard. He was a Russian. He was 6'8".
Wow.
All right, and he allegedly was shaking people down, for money when he came to the country, and so he gets charged with 3 murders and extortion, where he supposedly hit somebody to get the money. So he goes to me. I speak Russian, but he was trying to speak English, and he goes, "Look, what? Ask the DA, how big is this man I hit?" What do you care? He got 3 murders. How big was he? 5'7". Look, ask him where I hit him. I hit him in the head. Look, if I hit this man in the head, tell the judge to make it 4 murders. I swear to God.
Did he go to jail?
Yeah. Actually, no. I got him deported.
Or they sent him to Russia?
Yeah.
Yeah, why should-
Kazakhstan.
Yeah. Why should we pay for him? Right?
I really, that was my argument. You're going to feed this thing?
No luck in finding it, huh? All right. I have one possibility here. I got a possibility. Let's see.
Well, in the meantime, let's play a video. Let's play another video.
It's not made money in terms of this thing about, what are you talking about? China. I have not had, the only guy made money from China is this guy. He's the only one. Look,
Very quickly.
there are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what we are in a situation where we have foreign countries trying to interfere in the outcome of our election. His own national security advisor told him that what is happening with his buddy, I will. His buddy, Rudy Giuliani, he's being used as a Russian pawn. He's being fed information that is Russian, that is not true. And then what happens? Nothing happens.
So now let's take a look at him, present Joe.
We are in a situation where we have foreign countries trying to interfere in the outcome of our election. His own national security advisor told him that what is happening with his buddy, I will. His buddy, Rudy Giuliani, he's being used as a Russian pawn. He's being. We are in a situation where we have foreign countries trying to interfere in the outcome of our election. His own national security advisor told him that what is happening with his buddy, I will. His buddy, Rudy Giuliani, he's being used as a Russian pawn. He's being fed information that is Russian, that is not true. And then what happens? Nothing happens.
Accompanied by the Director General of the International Labor Organization.
And to say to President Biden, can you hear me, President Biden? This is a historical moment for Brazil and for the U.S. President Biden, can you hear me? You can? Yes, good. And so there's the U.S. delegation that is here with me. I'd like to greet my wife that is also here. I'd like to greet the Brazilian trade unionists that came to my invitation by my labor minister, and I also like to greet the U.S. trade union leaders.
Not to deceive you, Mr. President.
He walked out of the guy.
Yeah.
He walked
Yeah, he
out
never
of him.
shook hands with the other guy.
But he shook hands with the flag.
Yeah.
And then he couldn't figure out until the end that this is to put in your ear, dummy. Meanwhile, the other guy has it in his ear.
And
All
the
he has
sad
to-
thing that this isn't the worst. Really,
Oh.
this is not the worst.
No,
Tonight
no,
on
no.
TV, tonight at 7 o'clock on the news, when they were interviewing him, he looked like he had some sort of plastic surgery to pull his head apart and put it back together again. I never saw anything like it in my life.
There's no. I wonder if we can get a picture of that. Plastic surgery.
Well, look at his upper lip. He doesn't have an upper lip. He had an upper lip during the debate.
Let's see if we can find him.
We'll play it tomorrow. We'll have it by tomorrow.
Biden
We're gonna play another clip while you.
video today. Let's just see if we get lucky.
I'm gonna play a clip while you do that.
Contest in open court. The former president scowling as he locks eyes on Justice Arthur Engoron, who seems unfazed by Trump's glare. He removes his glasses and mugs for the camera. On the other side of the courtroom, 4 rows behind Trump, another stare down as Trump's arch foe, New York State's Attorney General Letitia James, fixes her gaze on him.
Hang on, we have some pictures from inside court.
This is unusual.
The extraordinary scene caught the news networks by surprise. Cameras are not usually allowed inside courtrooms in New York.
We're seeing something that we frankly did not expect. There's a camera in that courtroom.
But not for long. The cameras were ordered out before.
Back to
Do you know this judge?
No,
5 minutes.
thank God.
Yeah. Gosh almighty. I mean, the Democratic, he had to have been chosen by the Democrat county leader in Manhattan. He was appointed by de Blasio to the civil court. So that's strike one.
Look, we have as a DA in Manhattan.
Yeah. And the Democrat county leader selected him. I mean, a lot of people think that because the judges in New York are elected, they're elected. They're not. They're selected by the county leader.
Right.
Who puts them on. And then, of course,
And
they get
and
elected
places them.
90%.
Yeah, and places them.
Yeah. And then if they want to move up,
They got to perform. I think I said that right.
I think you got it.
Yeah.
But I really like his little move for the camera there. Surprised he didn't put makeup on.
It scares me. It scares me for my grandchildren.
It does, doesn't it?
It really, it grips me in a cold grip in my heart when I see him, that he is running this country and everybody in the world is laughing at us. And we've never tolerated that. I don't think the audience really knows that Donald Trump went to New York Military Academy.
Yeah.
All right? Nobody really ever says that. But my college roommate went there with him. And that's why he has that rigid look about him. You know, it's a military.
He takes being
People
president.
say, oh, yeah, he's nasty. No, he's not nasty.
He's tough.
He's a tough officer looking down at a private that's not doing his job.
100%.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah, and you have to be. And in fact, he can be a very kind man.
The few times I met him, I thought
He
he
can
was
be a very, very kind man that shocks you.
the best line I ever heard about why he should be president was that if he could build buildings in New York City with all the mafia,
Yeah, not
then
get in
he
trouble.
could do anything.
I'll ask you a question that I think is a real distinction between the two of them. That I don't think I know he would not have treated the extra granddaughter the way
Oh,
Joe
that's
did.
that's
Or the
goes
way
without
Jill
saying.
did.
Goes out without saying. He loves his children.
Yeah, it'd be no way he'd, if God forbid or whatever, if his kids had a child and
Yeah.
the child was hidden and then the child came to life,
Yeah.
he would have embraced the child.
And there was a
Not-
moment when, after it was brought up so many times, that somebody brought it up again. He looked like he didn't know what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Remember
yeah,
that?
Yeah.
That day?
Yeah.
I love all my grandchildren, all 6 of them.
All 6 of them. Yeah. And then Jill, for the last 2 or 3 years, and then it puts out only 6 Christmas.
6
stuff.
Christmas cards. Okay.
Yeah, nice grandma.
Yeah. Well, she's as tough as he is,
Well,
as
she's-
far as, you know.
She part of the teachers union.
Yeah.
Man.
I remember during the election, she had to tell him who he was talking about. Trump. He couldn't remember Donald's name.
He had a little of it during the election,
Yeah.
but you're right, it wasn't as bad.
It wasn't.
I
it wasn't,
remember
and
that.
she knew it, and she kept
Well,
it back.
The wife has to know.
My wife has to know it.
If he's
Dr. Joe.
yeah, if he's turning I remember when he came out, and he turns to her and he thinks it's his sister. And then he turns to his sister and he thinks it's his wife.
Right.
And then he says something stupid.
Yeah, I
And
love them.
that
I
was
love them
during the-
all. I love them all.
That was during the campaign.
Yeah.
That's
But
before he.
but that, you know, you write it off as nervousness, okay. But where he is now, what you see, it can only be one thing. And
No, of
everybody in
course.
the world
We
knows.
all know, of course. Everybody who has any kind of family or friends,
Right. Who's lived through it.
right, knows that there is such a thing as dementia or
Right.
Alzheimer's, that it does happen to 20%, 10%, some percentage of people,
Right.
and some of them not as bad, but he has a bad case. He's got a case where he falls down in front of
And
the
they're
entire
real-
the
they're
entire
real
Air Force
flops.
Academy.
They're real flops.
That was a hell of a drop
Right.
that he had at the Air Force
And
Academy.
I remember coming down the Air Force One. And, I mean, he did three times. Once going up, twice going down. I mean, I know what it feels like. I have bad legs, but
So she must not really care about him all that much. She
she
must
cares about being
for
Dr. Joe.
yeah, and she's going to hold on to that
That's
thing
right.
until he
That's right. Until
until he comes out someday, and he can't say anything.
Right.
Where the whole thing blows.
Yeah. And he can't get out of the chair, and that's it. They got to get the wheelchair.
Yeah, like we thought happened to McConnell.
Right.
The other day when he
Right.
froze twice when he froze up.
Right. And still they wanted to keep him.
Yeah.
Am I missing something?
No. Here's what you're missing. They're all making a lot of money, and they don't want to give it up.
Oh, that I know.
You know?
I'm just saying that there's a
They're all
point where
making
you
a lot of money.
don't want to scumbadi. I mean,
And they don't want to give it up. So tomorrow night, we will have some more clips for you. We'll get that second one so that you get it exactly right. But the second one relates to his saying that 50 intelligence experts basically made it clear that Trump and I were working for the Russians. That's basically the thrust of it. Which although it adds a little to the defamation, what it really adds is that this was planned.
right.
This wasn't some kind of he just said it,
forethought.
because that happened the day before.
Right.
So I can't say enough about the great job this man did, and you'll see the great job he continues to do. And also, I'm sorry we didn't have Bill with us, but we will have Bill with us
Great
also
lawyer.
next time. We both
man.
have great respect for Bill. He did
Yes.
just a great job. Bill O'Brien in that beautiful state behind us, New Hampshire, and you'll probably see us in New York tomorrow night. Don't forget to tune in. We'll be ready to go. Who knows what's going to happen? We never know anymore.
Well,
right?
who knows what's going
You
to
wake up in the morning.
Who knows what's he going to pull them all?
You wake up in the morning and you say,
Just when you thought it couldn't get worse.
"This isn't real. It isn't real. No. That he really didn't do that. But this really didn't happen. But it probably will." And we'll be here to cover it for you because, we conceive of our job as giving you the news that you don't get
Right.
in the New York Times.
And the
who
explanation.
Today ran a very big article, and I didn't know this, but I'm going to start my treatment tomorrow that I'm an alcoholic.
Oh, yeah, right.
I didn't, 79 years, and I didn't know I was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Man, must have been really tough trying all those cases when I was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
What a big
Having all
lie.
those meetings with the
Yeah. I
everybody.
used to hide it though. I had the bottles all over.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been in
See,
the
my-
office
see,
in those days.
I have them hidden.
I remember the Mickey Mantle baseball that I
That had-
used to
that
play
has-
with.
yeah, that
I
had-
think
that
that
had-
annoys you.
That had li-
But you were the only person's office I ever saw that didn't have one bottle in it.
Because I drank them all.
Well, you did it quickly, you know what I'm saying? But you go in the judges' chambers, and they have a bottle. It's whatever. I like medicinal purposes. All right. I never saw you take a drink in all the years I've known you.
I've taken drinks, but I'm not an alcoholic.
But
I'm not an
I'm not
alcoholic.
privy to it. If you're an alcoholic, I got
I just don't know why they make things up. I have no idea. But this,
Where do they get these things?
it's the New York Times. They've gone beyond any. I don't know. And the lady who wrote it covered me as mayor. I think she's mad because I said some very bad things about her father, who was a left-wing reporter for the Times, and I accused him of being one of the people that destroyed New York with his crazy liberal ideas. So I think she's really upset. I also pointed out that when she was younger, she disagreed with him. And maybe she didn't like that. It probably got too personal. I shouldn't have mentioned any of
You
that.
know, a lot of people don't like the truth.
Yeah.
You don't.
But I mean, it's one thing to she should have criticized me for getting too personal. She has to make up that I'm an alcoholic.
You can't make this up.
No.
We live in a clown world. We live in a
And then
clown
one of the
world.
people,
I don't even know how to do
one of the people who said I was an alcoholic said he didn't say it, so there may be a retraction of that. And then I do have a witness that disputes another part, so maybe we'll have another case. We'll see. So we'll be back tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed the show. I'll also be on WABCRadio.com at 3 o'clock. We'll be back here on whatever is your favorite social media. It could be Twitter, it could be YouTube, could be Facebook, Rumble, Twitch. What did I miss?
A drink.
A drink. Rumble, drink. And now we're going to go get drunk. Thank you, sir.
You still got that rolling ball?
God bless America. Our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply